How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we did see a pretty big sell-off today. Stochastic is dropping, RSI is pulling back, our momentum is rounding away, money flow is breaking down, and that VWAP does have lower highs, so watch for lower lows. If we get lower lows here, we could create a double top. That double top could push us down, likely around the top of that golden pocket, so right around that 99 area. And if we don't bounce and hold there, we could continue lower. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we did see a little bit of a bounce forward. Again, we're still in our gapped range, so I would watch. If we continue forward, Bitcoin dominance could go up. That would mean Bitcoin would do better than altcoins. However, I would watch for a sell-off and watch for altcoins to run up. Our stochastic does want to round. RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is bullish. Money flow is bullish. Momentum is pushing up due to VWAP pushing up. So dominance does look decent. It does look like it could start to increase. Over on total for the daily, we are continuing forward. We did break that 300 EMA finally, so that is very positive. If we can stay above this EMA with tomorrow's candle, we could see a continuation above and try to see our break up around that, let's see, 720 area, 721. So that would be very positive. That would be pretty consistent highs. We have been in that area before, so that would be a retest of previous highs, at least for this current cycle. Our stochastic does want to round away though, so keep an eye on that. RSI is pushing up. VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing up, and money flow does want to go bullish. So if VWAP stays bullish, we could see that money flow go from red to green, and we could see total push up. That would give us a green bullish trend on our altcoins. Remember, total is the market cap of all the altcoins. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic is running up, RSI is pushing up, momentum is gaining strength, VWAP is trying to cling to bullish territory. Watch that VWAP. If it can stay bullish, we could break that 300 EMA and continue forward. However, if that VWAP breaks away here, we could see a rejection of our 250 EMA, and then we could try to break to the lower side of our EMA band. And if we do break below, I'd say this 555 area, then we could see continued losses. Over on the 2 hour, we are continuing forward. We do look positive. We did come back, retested around that 300 EMA, and now we are continuing forward. So this is positive. This is a healthy move forward. Stochastic is starting to round away though. Keep an eye on that. RSI is starting to pull back. Momentum is bullish, but that VWAP is not very strong. Keep an eye on that VWAP. If it breaks to the bearish side, momentum will round away and money flow will start to follow. Over on the 1 hour, we do look pretty decent. We do have a rising channel here, or a bullish continuation, not a rising channel. Sorry, the highs and lows do not connect. The highs and lows do not connect, so that creates a bullish continuation. That does help push you further up. That would help push us along toward that resistance area. But our momentum does want to round. VWAP is very iffy right here, so watch that VWAP close. Money flow is bullish. The 1 hour is bullish overall. I would just keep an eye on that VWAP. If it breaks bearish and holds, that's where we could see momentum weaken, and then money flow could break bearish. At that point, if money flow holds bearish for several hours, then we could start to push down and have some concern. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are trying to break that value area low, so I would watch from the next candle to break it. But again, if we do end up pushing forward from here, we did have our gap below, so we would want to watch on the lower time frames if we still have our gap below. If we do, we could still set up to push forward, retest that 61, get a lower high, and push down. Remember, if we have a gap below, they do have an 80% likelihood to fill, and if we do not fill it sooner and we push up and do not fill it, then we would leave it to fill at a later date. Our VWAP is bullish, momentum is heading up, money flow is bullish. Stochastic does want to round, keep an eye on it. RSI is pushing forward, but with stochastic rounding, RSI is starting to stall out. Over on the 4 hour, we are overall continuing forward. We do have that gap below us, so again, exercise caution. I would want that gap to fill sooner rather than later. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, momentum is trying to gain strength, but we have a red dot as that VWAP is starting to get lower highs, so watch that VWAP close. If it breaks that neutral, momentum will break down and money flow would follow. That would result in higher time frames starting to sell off. Over on the 2 hour, we do have higher highs with higher lows. They do not connect, so this is a bullish continuation. Again, those do push you forward, but they aren't guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in trading, and we do have that gap below us, so you do want to take that into account. Stochastic's overall weakening, RSI is pulling back, momentum's overall weakening, that VWAP is starting to struggle, and money flow does want to push down. So despite us pushing forward, we do look like we're about to lose our strength, so I would watch very close here. Over on the 1 hour, we did bounce off that 300 EMA. That is positive because that does give us that possibility to continue forward. If we can get higher highs with higher lows from here, this being that higher low, then we could push forward. However, if we see a break of that 300 EMA, that's where we would end up seeing the possibility of filling our lower gap. Our VWAP is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding, our money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP breaks down, momentum could bring money flow lower, and if it holds bearish for several hours, we could weaken higher time frames. Stochastic does want to round in, RSI is pulling back, so I would just exercise caution. We do look decent, but again, we do have gaps to the downside that could fill. And as futures does lead Bitcoin, we could have very similar things going on Bitcoin. Over on the daily, we are bouncing off that 57K, that is positive. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is flat, VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bearish, so I would watch. That VWAP being bullish could help push momentum higher and give money flow strength, but we need lower time frames to hold bullish for that to happen. Over on the 4 hour, we do have higher highs with higher lows. They don't really connect too well, so I wouldn't call it a rising channel, but again, just exercise caution. Momentum does want to round, stochastic is rounding, RSI wants to pull back. That VWAP does look like it could break that neutral. Watch that VWAP close. If it breaks our neutral, momentum could push down and money flow could follow. That would result in us rejecting this area and breaking down. And remember, we said yesterday we want to hold above this Fibonacci level if we're going to see that continuation forward. Over on the 2 hour, we did reject our 300 EMA, but we're coming back up to retest it, so watch very close. The next couple candles will be very important. If we can get back above that EMA and hold, then we could continue forward. But if we see a red candle and we continue to reject the 250 and the 300, then it's likely we would retest that 57. And if we don't hold that 57, that's where we could cascade lower. Our stochastic is starting to round away. We do have orange above blue. That's a bearish cross. RSI is weakening as a result, bringing price lower. Momentum is pushing down with bearish divergence as VWAP weakens. Keep an eye on that VWAP. If it continues to weaken, momentum will continue lower and money flow will start to break down. And remember, when that money flow flips red, we do have more selling pressure than buying pressure. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding with bearish divergence. VWAP does want to break down, watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP rejects that neutral and stays bearish here, momentum will continue lower and money flow will go from green to red. That will give us bearish momentum, and if that bearish momentum were to hold for several hours, that's where we would get that push to the downside. But again, we don't have to push down, it's just the more ideal situation based on that gap. So over on graph for the daily, we do have an attempt to break our resistance of our 14,316. We're just above it. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pushing up, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bearish, so keep an eye on that VWAP. It needs to hold bullish if that money flow is going to reverse. Over on our 4 hour, we are retesting that resistance, we are pulling back. Watch the next candle. If it's a strong red candle, we could create a rounding top like we tried to do here, and we could push down. However, if it's a green candle, we will push forward. Our stochastic is pushing up, RSI is gaining strength. VWAP is trying to stay bullish with higher lows, so watch for higher highs. If we get higher highs, we will see momentum and money flow continue higher, and that will push us further. Over on the 2 hour, we are close to that 300 EMA, so watch that level very close. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pretty flat, momentum is pushing forward. VWAP does have lower highs, so watch that close. Those lower highs could set us up for bearish momentum if we break down and hold below that neutral. Money flow is starting to pull back, so I would watch 1 hour close. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a pretty strong wave to the bearish side here. We did try to break bullish, but now we're pulling back. Watch if we can bounce here. If we can bounce and make a higher low, we could continue further and see momentum gain further strength, pushing money flow up. However, if that VWAP does break that neutral and holds, momentum will start to pull back and money flow will go from green to red. And if it holds for several hours in the red, we will see further sell-off. Over on Ankr for the daily, we are seeing a push forward. If I can get the chart there, we are seeing a pretty decent push forward. We do have that push toward that 2673 we could make. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pushing up, VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bearish, so watch that VWAP on lower time frames. It needs to hold a bullish trend to continue further. Over on the 4 hour, we are struggling with the 250. We did fill a gap below us, so that is positive. We came back down, retested that area, and pushed forward. We do have another below us, though, so keep an eye on that. Stochastic does want to push down, RSI is starting to round, our momentum is rounding as that VWAP does want to break that neutral. Watch that VWAP close. If it breaks that neutral, momentum could break down and money flow could follow. Over on our 2 hour, we are kind of lagging out. There we go. Over on our 2 hour, we are running up above our EMAs. This is positive. If we can stay above these lower EMAs, we could see them cross above our higher EMAs and continue to give bulls more strength. Our stochastic does want to round away though, so keep an eye on that. RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, money flow is decent in the bullish territory, but that VWAP does want to hold bearish. Watch that VWAP close. If it holds bearish here, momentum could break down and money flow would follow. Over on the 1 hour, we do have several gaps, so we have gaps all over the place. If you want to trade gaps, Ankr's your coin to choose because Ankr loves its gaps. But RSI is pushing up, stochastic is starting to round away, momentum is rounding away as well. We do have bearish divergence, so keep an eye on that. That could bring us lower as that VWAP breaks bearish. If we reject and hold bearish, we will see momentum continue to weaken, and money flow could go from green to red. That would signal that we have more selling pressure, and if we hold in the red, we will see those higher time frames start to break down. We do want to see a bounce off either of these gapped areas, so even if we come down to the 300 EMA, hit that 2382 and continue forward, that would still be positive because that could give us a higher low with higher highs. We do have a gap right around that resistance at that 2338 though, so if we don't bounce off that area, I would watch that gap and that resistance area very closely because we have several gaps below us after that. And remember, gaps have an 80% likelihood to fill, so there is a good chance we could end up breaking down at some point. Over on XRP for the daily, we tried to tear up. We tried to break that 57, so that was a pretty decent move. We are above that 300 EMA. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bullish. So we do look decent here. Over on the 4 hour, we are holding above that 300 EMA. I would watch for a push down and a bounce off it. If we get that bounce off it, then we could continue back toward that 57 and try to break for it for real. VWAP is bullish, momentum is heading up as a result. Money flow is bullish, so watch that VWAP. If it stays bullish, momentum could push money flow higher. Stochastic and RSI do want to push up, so that could lead price up. Over on the 2 hour, we are getting higher highs with higher lows here. I would watch for that to continue. If it continues, we could break forward. Momentum is pushing up, but we have a red dot as that VWAP wants to break down, so watch that VWAP close. Money flow is starting to round away, so keep an eye on that as well. Over on the 1 hour, our money flow is bearish. Our VWAP is breaking down. Watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP does not reverse, momentum will continue to drop and money flow will deepen in the red. That would weaken higher time frames and cause a further sell-off. So don't get too comfortable. Don't get too excited. Finally, over on ALGO for the daily, since we have no requests, we are seeing a pretty decent push forward. We are retesting that 13 cents or psychological area as it's that even number. VWAP is starting to round away, momentum is pushing up, money flow is pulling back, stochastic does want to round, watch if that orange gets above blue, RSI is pushing up, so we do look decent, but I would still exercise caution. Over on the 4 hour, we are staying above our 300 EMA, watch if we can bounce here. If we can, we could continue to that 1350. Our stochastic and RSI are pushing up, VWAP is continuing with higher highs and higher lows, momentum is pushing up, and money flow is bullish, so the 4 hour does look decent. Over on the 2 hour, we are continuing along, doing a decent retest and push forward, so we keep dropping down, pushing up, dropping down, pushing up. We're not just going one way or the other. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding, VWAP does want to pull back, watch that VWAP close. If it gets a lower low, we could break down, but if we get a higher low, we could continue this run up and try to break that 1350. Over on the 1 hour, we are breaking that neutral, so watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP holds under this neutral, momentum would break down and money flow would reverse. However, if that VWAP can get a higher low, then hold bullish and get a strong wave like back here, we could see another run forward, so that's going to be what you want to watch for. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Have a